Time to be careful.
I can't believe baseball's still going on, by the way.
1 week left, man.
Yeah, I did a baseball video this morning, and it was just like...
You did?
4 teams, yeah.
Phillies can clinch playoff spot today. Playing well.
Good for them.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL First Look Strategy Show. Your favorite time of the week. Maybe that's not the case, but humor me here. And let's just pretend it is, because this show, it's fun. We lay the foundation. We take a cursory look at everything going into every single week. First to market when it comes to first look shows. Why the hell not, right? Football season, it's fleeting. And by the time you know it, it's gone. Like, we're heading into week 4 already. We're going to blink our eyes. We'll be at Thanksgiving, and soon enough, the season will be over. And then we'll be clamoring once again by April as the draft rolls around for football. So let's soak this up. We got a 12-game slate this week. Only one Monday night football game, but you've got your first London game. No surprise, Jacksonville Jaguars playing in that one. But I will say this much. If you have yet to look at the slate, it is loaded. You look at wide receiver, you look at quarterback, absolutely loaded at the top. Now, there's some value out there as well, but truly stacked at the top. There's got to be 10 wide receivers north of 7K where you just go, I'll close my eyes and hopefully land on the right one, because who the hell knows? But anyway, I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D on the X, LOUGHY_D. Hit me up. Follow Ben too. He's with me as always. Ben Rasa at JazzRaz DFS, double Z, single Z over there. What's up, brother?
What's going on? Yeah. It is week 4 already. It's buys next week. Gets even tougher, but I'm excited. I'm excited to look back. These 2-game NFL slates, I've come around. I actually wish we did this all year. I've been liking these Monday slates. I know we don't get that this week, but yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know if I feel this every year. NFL season so far feels distinctly different than years past.
Why?
I don't know if it's just like the lack of parity or just something about kind of the structure of the league. It just feels like there's no alpha team. I don't know if it's like I'm so used to the Patriots dynasty. You know, we had that for so long, and it was almost like, okay, it had an NBA vibe where it's like we could simulate this and we know we're going to get Colts and Patriots, Chiefs and Patriots, Chiefs. Now it's just like, I don't even know who's good and who's bad. Like, the Dolphins we're going to talk about all that type of stuff. I don't know. This is the first year in a long time. I'm not even sure what I'm seeing.
There is an element to that for sure, but I kind of felt that way last year.
A little because of the Eagles, but yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the Bengals, let's not forget the Bengals last year through the first couple of games did not look good, right? This year's a little bit different with Joe Burrow. He played yesterday. Props to him, I guess, but that was a decision that could have come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I mean, they survived. Obviously, they pushed because of that garbage late. I had the Bengals, but yeah. I mean, my biggest takeaway is they've now not that they didn't know this, but like Jamar Chase, moving him around all over the place is what they need to do. They got to get him the ball at all costs, and they did that last night.
I'll tell you, he actually got a spot at 4 for 4 EWWEE2K. Matt Savoca you're talking about. Yeah, did great stuff. Eric's with me on the matchup shows now. But here's a couple of things I do know. While Jalen Hurts has not played his best football, the Philadelphia Eagles in the trenches, the offensive line and the defensive line. I'll never forget when you DM'd or you texted me the night of the draft, this past draft. And you text me, what's it? Yeah. And you go, Eagles just got the best player in the draft. And, you know, I have always respected your opinion when it comes to college players. And obviously I knew who Jalen Carter was coming into this, but to see that to see you go, man, this guy, like, straight game changer. He's a game wrecker out of the gate. Jordan Davis is a monster. This dude on that safety took a double team and threw both of them into the end zone. That's a scary defensive front, a good offensive line. DeAndre Swift is second in the league in rushing yards now, and he's played 2 games. I'm not counting week 1. He touched the ball 1. Played 2 games. He's got 170 plus, 130 plus yards in back-to-back games. But that defense, that is a scary defense right now, man.
Nasty. But again, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I haven't heard anything about the Eagles. Literally nothing.
After yesterday, I was watching some stuff this morning on all of like the, cable stuff. That was a big topic of conversation for sure. But yeah, up until today, you hadn't heard much. Straight game records in there for sure. Just absolute game records on that defense. That's a scary defensive front, a good offensive line. They're kind of masking some weaknesses on Jalen Hurts. He throws an interception to the 1 and they promptly get a safety on the first play. It's crazy, dude. That was something else. And then the Cowboys. Listen, I had the Cowboys. I should have known with that teaser play, but as I'm doing it anyway, but that's a disgrace of a performance.
Yeah, I mean, losses are losses, but they got just outmanned. They got manhandled by the Cardinals. Certainly for survivor pools. So a lot of people go down last week, and the Cowboys were a big piece of that. I don't think it's overly impactful long term, and they're lucky that the rest of the league is so inept because they would be leading, I think, the power rankings of just stupid performances in week 3, and they don't even crack like the top 10 possibly.
Before I put Ben in an uncomfortable position here, metaphorically speaking,
okay,
I wouldn't mind if you guys took a single second, hit that thumbs up, get us north of 50 here on the show, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. We try and read and respond to all of them. Oftentimes on this show specifically, there are some very good comments, Ben. And also, guys, podcast exclusive single entry 3 max strategy. Ben and I are doing that every Tuesday. That's coming up right after this. So later in the day or the week, you want to check it out, head over to our podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you listen. Leave a rating, review, all that good stuff. It helps us. But check out all of our other stuff is uploaded to podcast too. This show will be up there, but you're watching now or you're watching later. But the podcast exclusive stuff, we got the single entry 3 max strategy. I know you guys have enjoyed that. The afternoon strategy show on Friday with Greg and myself. We talked a lot about Rondell Moore this week. In week 2, we talked a ton about the Giants offense being that good contrarian stack. So we've been on the money for these afternoon slates over the first few weeks. Hopefully we can keep it rolling. Come check that out if you haven't yet. Appreciate all your support. All right. So this isn't to say that you and I weren't on the same page here, because we were. The Arizona Cardinals all season long through 3 weeks are actually playing competitive football. That doesn't mean they're going anywhere. They're not. Okay. They're not. They don't have the personnel. They don't have the talent. But if I had told you that they had lost 2 2-score games, right? 1 by 3, 1 by 5, or whatever it was, 4 or 5 against Washington in Washington, and then routed the Dallas Cowboys. This is a team that was plus 650 to be the plus 650 to go 11-1 to go 0-17 on the season and open the season at plus 650 to be the last team with a win, which was much shorter odds than any other team. You compare them to the Bears or the Broncos or a couple of other teams out there, hell, the Jags after last week and after that Chiefs week, this team is playing with more life and vigor with a fraction of the talent than a handful of teams that came into this season with massive hype surrounding them and high expectations. You got to give them some credit.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're trying. So now their problem with them is they have no ceiling because talent-wise, they're just not that good. They can't do anything.
But it makes it even more impressive that they don't have the talent as well.
Yeah, it does. It just shows. I mean, listen, it's the NFL. It is different. Like in college football, there are certain teams that just can't beat other teams because the talent gap is so immense. It doesn't really matter. In the NFL, anyone can beat anyone. And the Cardinals just proved that, particularly at home. So shout out to them. Their reward is that they go to San Francisco, who's got the long week. And I looked at OddsShopper this morning. The money line on that game is minus 900. So I don't
14,
think the Cardinals.
14-point spread.
They won't be making it too straight, but just the fact that everyone, including me, they're playing for Caleb Williams. They're gonna get Caleb Williams, and they might. They could easily, if the Cardinals go like 1-16, I wouldn't be remotely shocked. I think that could just be an anomaly. But at least they're trying, because in the power rankings, they are ahead of some of the real goblin teams out there.
Is it time, at least for now, to give up on Justin Fields? Or do you go right back there this week against?
Oh, I should give up on him. Yes. I thought you meant the Bears.
No.
But society, as a DFS society, yeah, I think we might have to
not the Bears. Not the Bears. Although if they had the number 1 pick, they have to take Caleb Williams.
I think they have to.
They have to. Yeah. You have to. Do you think he could be a legitimate star in the NFL?
I don't see how you can say that he isn't a super intriguing prospect.
And you got to take him.
I'm still adamant that Fields can be really good, but
we'll see. We're only 3 weeks in. But if the season ends, and I know Fields hasn't had a lot of help. What do you think?
No, yeah, I mean we're only 3 weeks in, but
it's bad.
Bad.
It's real bad. I mean, giving up already type bad. It's horrible. You land the number 1 pick, and you have a chance to take a guy that you think could be a franchise quarterback for a decade plus, as many good quarterbacks have been. You have no choice but to do it, Ben. I'm telling you right now that you have no choice but to do it.
They have to do it. And this shouldn't factor in, but it does. It is even more so that they have to do it because they had this exact situation last year.
Yep.
And they didn't do it. They said, okay, we'll let Carolina go. And you can't pass twice on the quarterbacks.
No, I don't blame them this year for doing that because they thought Fields was the guy. They had a lot of other needs at other positions, but they have multiple first-round picks this year. By the way, did you know that the Lions not only passed up on Jalen Carter, but then traded back to get Jahmyr Gibbs, which allowed them to get rid of DeAndre Swift, and the Eagles got both of them? Isn't that a strange twist of fate? Pretty crazy. It's so funny to me that Falcons fans, and yeah, I'm an Eagles fan, right? But I'm also objective enough to be like, the Eagles' first-round draft picks before Devontae Smith they drafted a 27-year-old fireman in the first round not that long ago. Okay. Danny Watson. Rager, horrible draft pick. There's a lot of them.
Jury's still out there, we'll say.
Please stop it. Please. Just enough of that.
What team is he on? He's on a team.
Howie Roseman's a fucking genius, dude. He really is. Anyway,
they're good.
2 other things, guys, and let me know also in the comments or in the chat, where are you guys at? What are some of the most surprising things? I love talking about this, and we always have to open a show up, especially after a strange week with this, and then we get into everything else. What are the strangest things that you've seen or the most surprising that you've seen this season? I'll give you a couple. I didn't think Denver would be as bad as they were. And Nathaniel Hackett will never get an apology from me because despite everything else, his play calling in big situations was terrible. But this defense is bad now. This defense just gave up 30 plus to the Commanders in Denver, 70 to Miami, 56 at the start of the fourth quarter. This is the defense that held them in competitive games last year, despite the offense barely managing 14 points. Now the defense is shot. By the way, Chicago Bears and Denver Broncos this week. That should be fun. One other thing. CJ Stroud looks actually good. And he looks good. He's looked better than Bryce Young. I know he played from behind the first 2 games, but that defense, Andrew Beck with the run back, by the way, on that punt was
stupid.
Amazing. But CJ Stroud has now produced in back-to-back weeks a top 7 wide receiver. Nico Collins was the wide receiver 5 in week 2. And Tank Dell, I think, is the wide receiver 6 or probably 7 after AJ Brown and Jamar Chase went off yesterday in back-to-back weeks. And they routed the Jaguars, and he still hasn't thrown an interception. I like what I'm seeing from this kid. And for the first time in a long time, these Houston pass catchers are actually viable.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's in the Arizona bucket. They're playing hard. They know what they're doing. They've obviously got something with Stroud. Uh, they seem great. We'll get to quarterbacks in just a second. We have to mention. I'm not even going to get into anything crazy. I'll just say this: the Minnesota Chargers game, there were no winners. Just the Chargers lost less because they should once again fire their coach after a win. That
Brandon
guy doesn't know
Staley
what
is
he's
so
doing.
lucky. I had a tweet lined up that was like Brandon Staley when he tries to board the team flight after the game, and then it was a good video I found. I couldn't use it, but I should have been able to use it because that 4th and 1. I'm all about being aggressive, but he is aggressively dumb in those situations.
I bet the Vikings. I was rooting for the Vikings, and the Vikings they got their own problems because how they don't understand that you should just spike the ball and then score rather than throw an interception. And they have like 8 fumbles in 3 games.
Yeah.
The Chargers not only seem to not understand analytics, their ideas of how to accomplish the goals are some of the worst ideas I've ever seen. Like, I don't think that was a good idea to go for it. That was one of the worst plays, though. If you're going to go for it, like, why not just do something smart? And then people will be like, wow, I wouldn't have done that, but what a good play.
For sure. For sure. And those decisions oftentimes.
Dive. Yeah, good idea. Good, smart.
Yeah. And you know how they say like history is written by the victors, by the winners. You understand what I'm saying here, right?
Yeah, of course.
In that single play, you could make that argument. If it worked, or if it was even a remotely decent play call, you look back and you go, hey, not bad. But the fact that it didn't work and it was a bad play call just makes it look even worse.
And then finally, as our friend Steven just pointed out, Josh McDaniels.
He's not a good head coach.
Doesn't understand what he's doing. He got a real life mulligan in the game. Bad idea, gift from the gods. Leverage, like, oh, the penalty that doesn't even make sense. And then he's like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, I'll still kick the field goal.
Yeah. How? I don't think he's not a great in-game coach at all.
You don't find it odd though that teams will spend literally like tens of millions of dollars to find an 1% equity maybe, and then in game it's just Leroy Jenkins like, well, like, just let this guy like just
I know. I know.
I would fire coaches so quickly.
You really should. Oh, does it let's talk week 4 here. And by the way, I agree with you guys. The Josh Jacobs thing, he is 34th in rushing yards right now in the league. I had tweeted it earlier, the top 10. Connor's up there. Swift is second. He's played 2 games. A-Chain and Mostert are both up there. A-Chan now. He's played 1 game. There's some guy, Derrick Henry played like 5 snaps last game. So certain running backs out there, it is definitely odd. But you're probably right in that you could see a coach make a few decisions, like a few truly head-scratching decisions that no one with a sound mind would ever make. And you should go back to the drawing board and be like, you know what? We made a mistake.
100%. Sunk cost.
Yeah, right.
No, it is. It's just like when you buy like NFTs, it's just like, well, I've made a large mistake. Like, you can't ride that out. You screwed it up. Because who really thinks? Does anyone seriously think that a team like the Chargers or the Raiders, with their current iteration, in 3 years or 4 years, that this is the guy that's going to lead us?
Right. You're not moving towards something positive that takes a while to get there. You're moving. You are actively moving away from that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, stupid. But let's get into it.
A team that scores that many points and produces that many yards, because their offense does not look bad at all, but
they're a good team.
They're a good team. No team finds ways to shoot themselves in the foot more in 1-score games than the Chargers. If you had shown me what that looked like at the end of that game, how much time was left, Vikings have the ball, right where they were. Shit, they could have been at their own 5. I would have gone, all right, Chargers blew another. They're going to blow this game because that's
They
just what they
tried.
do. They did try.
That's what I mean. They didn't win. That's what I was saying before. They didn't win. The
Right. They
Vikings
survived.
just outdueled them because the
Yep.
Vikings did things that I also didn't think were possible.
They survived. Yep. Ross K. Swift played 3 games, you Philly homer. He played 2 games, dude. If you want, I mean, if you want to get technical, sure. Devon A-Chain played 2 games, but he really only played 1 game. He touched the ball once or twice. Swift touched the ball once in week 1. So get out of here with that crap, Ross. Anyway, let's talk quarterbacks. Long recap, but that was
We had
totally
to.
necessary.
A team gave up 70 points and we kind of glossed over it. That's how absurd it was.
Yeah. And I've just talked so much about the Dolphins that offense is, they didn't have Jalen Waddle. They dropped 70 points and the running backs had 8 of their 10 touchdowns. It was ridiculous. Okay. Tyreek Hill is what's that?
No, go ahead, please.
No, Tyreek Hill's the man. Devon A-Chan, that's what he wants to be called. That's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah, I like A-Chain.
Raheem Mostert, like they dominated. Everybody dominated, and the Denver Broncos got truly embarrassed, embarrassed to the highest degree. And now this defense, I don't know what to make of them.
Yeah, you should run it. This running it up shouldn't be associated with pro sports. That's all I'll say. There is no running it up. Like, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they tried to take their foot off the gas.
I know, but people are like, oh, well, you can, like, if you want to go ahead, do whatever you want, and if you're in the other situation, teams can do whatever they want to you. This is not high school football.
But I'm saying dude.
Yeah, they were trying not to score. It's hard because the other team is that
they
bad.
handed it off, and he ran for like a 63-yard touchdown, and then Robbie Chosen, who hadn't played like that, he was just in there to clean things up. And then he rips off a 72-yard touchdown or whatever it was. I mean, it's an embarrassment. Sean Payton wishes he was on the couch or in the booth right now. I'll tell you that much. Yes. This week has so many good players. Look at quarterback, man. Josh Allen against Miami. This totals at 53.5. I would be surprised if it does not climb. I could see this closing around 56, Ben. I really could. I could see this getting nuked or steamed. Maybe not. Maybe it stays around here. But 54.5 is where we saw this Chargers and Miami game or Vikings game. I know this one is outside in Buffalo, but still, and they have a better defense. I think you could see a ton of points. So you have Hurts or you have Allen at 82. You have Tua in the other side of this matchup at 7,400. Hurts against Washington. Herbert against Vegas. Then you have Cousins against Carolina. I don't even love that spot because Allen, to me, and Miami's defense has played better. Give them some credit. But the Allen and Tua spot, wow. And then Hurts against Washington, Herbert against the Raiders. Where are you at on these 7K and up guys? I didn't mention Lamar Jackson, but he's got Cleveland, whose defense looks pretty good.
Yeah, but he's also got the ability to, like, he crossed 100 yards last week. He was one of my better quarterbacks. Not that it mattered because I just was completely under on the wrong games. But Lamar, I think, will once again be tournament viable. But yeah, let's start with the obvious game. You've got a total that jumps off the page. You've got prolific offenses, and everyone's going to want to go to Miami. How could you not want to after that output? I think they'll be over-owned. I'm looking at, again, it seems like no matter what, I always get into this with the Chargers. I'm always freaked out that, well, like, what happened? They're favorites here. What happens if they're winning? Is Herbert going to drop back 47 times? Is he going to drop back 41 times? And then he ends up dropping back 47 times because A, they're not winning, or B, that's just kind of how they play. So I am drawn to Herbert. I know Mike Williams is gone, but it could consolidate some target share. It is dealer's choice that you could pick any of these guys and feel good. I'd go Herbert 1, Allen 2, Lamar 3.
Roscoe said, every week in the NFL so far has been ridiculous. I'm never playing DFS again. Just kidding. Wish it was that easy. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I hear that.
Here's the cool thing with the NFL. This is true. If you have one good week, like one really good week, it erases everything. The prize pools are massive everywhere. Single entry, 3 max, the large field, the small stakes contest, the prize pools are massive. If you have one bit, you took second in a milli for what, a $250,000, I think it was, back when they actually had those payouts.
Yep.
And
pays for years of entries.
Years of entries. Like you could have lost every other week that season and still had a great year. Now,
Yeah, probably did.
Granted, that's an outlier, but you were also playing more volume. So even if you scale that down to someone that's playing low volume, you could have one good week, one really good week, and it changes everything.
It only takes one. It really does. Like it can change that fast, and you know how it is. It's very difficult. I was complaining before the show. I had really good pass last night in the 2-game slate. Didn't quite get there, but at the end of the day, what you got to tell yourself is put myself in a position to get lucky. Eventually you get lucky at the right time, and then it pays off.
Rank those top guys for me one more time.
So watch me say something different now.
Now I just didn't hear. I'm not trying to catch you up.
And Lamar. That's really the three that I'm looking closely at. But if you told me, oh man, I like Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to say, what are you, nuts? He's Jalen Hurts. But for me, the way that the Chargers passing volume is shaping up, I like Josh Allen. I think that the Bills, I'll tell you right now, in the betting markets, I haven't bet it, but I'm probably going to bet it. I like the Bills inside 3 at home. I think they're going to stop this Miami train.
Laying two, right? Or 2.5.
If you get that inside 3, I think that's a number to take a hard look at.
It's so weird because I mentioned after week 1, remember that the Chargers were running the ball. They ran the ball at a crazy high clip. I wonder when Eckler returns, if they're going to run the ball more than they did. If he comes back this week, I think they will, Ben. I do. By the way, that does not mean at all that I wouldn't like Justin Herbert here. I do. But you lost Mike Williams for the season to an ACL, which sucks because he was having a great game. But if he comes back this week after losing Mike Williams, I know they drafted Quentin Johnston early, but he hasn't really been used. I don't know if they trust him yet. I could see, assuming Eckler's like back to full strength with how shitty Josh Kelly has looked in back-to-back games, I wouldn't be surprised if they try and go more balanced at home, particularly against this Raiders team.
It's possible. And again, that's where I get freaked out. They're upwards of like minus 250 on the money line. Can they control throughout? Maybe. Now, on the other side of this game, we'll see what's up with Garoppolo as well. But yeah, I think more often than not, you get volume from Herbert. You get volume. You've got stackability because he doesn't run. It's definitely a quarterback I want some exposure to.
Benny said with the bye next week, wouldn't they hold Eckler back? They might, but not if he's good to go. Like, that's the thing. We don't know. It's Tuesday. If he gets
1-2.
Yeah, they're 1-2. If he gets a practice in and he's good, then why would they? But yeah, if it's like a Joe Burrow situation with a bye the next week where it's truly questionable, yeah, you would think they'd want to. The mid-range, I don't have a lot for you, Ben. I'm hoping maybe there's something there that you want to look towards, but I know it's super early in the week. Things can change. The way I break this down, I think I'm going to the top, or I think I'm going to the bottom. Now, if you wanted to make an argument for like an Anthony Richardson, I assume he's back from that concussion this week after missing consecutive games. By consecutive games, I mean most of week 2 and then all of week 3. There's him. There's Fields against Denver. Maybe. And then there's Joe Burrow against Tennessee. The problem there is Joe Burrow looked okay yesterday. I think the way I would rather play that, because I think ownership is either, I think it could be semi-flat up at the top, or it just gets really spiked for some of these guys in this Buffalo-Miami game, right? In the shootout. I think I'd rather play Jamar Chase or T. Higgins and hope one of them has that big game. I'm not convinced yet that Burrow is healthy enough. The whole rising tide or lifts all ships. The tide is Joe Burrow, right? And it's low tide right now, but Jamar Chase is still so good and saw enough volume in that last game that I think him on his own as a solo play could be better than a full stack where Joe Burrow needs to work several different guys into big games.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's a more of a one-off situation. I don't know, man. It's not good down there. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what Fields' ownership's like. If he's going to continuously be like 2%, I'm sure I'll take a couple stabs, but I don't know how you feel confident. Now, positives, he had 11 rushing attempts. That's what you need to see. Negatives, he didn't clear the 100-yard passing bonus if there is one because he only had 99 yards passing. That's not going to work. But what is the opportunity cost? I mean, if you're not paying up, yeah, Richardson's there, but Burrow, Dak against New England, I think is fine. Purdy seems like a game manager, not a ton of upside unless you think Arizona can hang. Russell Wilson,
So
Stroud, like,
I'll
ugh.
tell you what, Wilson was the guy for me. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Wilson has actually made some really nice throws this season. There's some problems there, without question. There are some problems there. He's been pressured on over 40% of his dropbacks, right? But on pressured passes, he's thrown 4 touchdowns to 1 interception. Wilson, it's crazy to say this, but because I think Wilson has been less of a problem than the defense. The offense didn't look great last game, but he had a beautiful corner end zone throw on the run, flushed out of the pocket to Cortland Sutton last game on Sunday. You saw that, right? It's a really nice throw. He had another that was called back to Sutton. They put up 30 points in the Washington game, and even if you wanted to say that Hail Mary doesn't count, which is fine by me, he still dropped like 24 or whatever it was. So I think Wilson against these are 2 lifeless and completely broken teams. Even if this ends up being like one of those games, both teams are terrible. I still don't mind. Let me put it to you this way, so I'm not talking in circles. This could be a game where both of the offenses are just completely stagnant and these teams are destroyed. But the defenses have looked so bad themselves that it also might be one of those games where, hey, it's the offense that ends up winning out. Something has to win out here because every facet of this game is bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of game that you have to embrace some of this. I think the range of outcomes is basically unlimited in that game. Both teams, I honestly think, could win by 3 touchdowns. I also think that the total could be like, if you, not that I bet this type of stuff, but I've seen bets where it's like, what team will have the most points on a week? I think you could bet either of these teams at like 100-1 because nothing would shock me here. I also think the game could end 13-9.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think the Broncos win by double digits. As bad as they looked last week, I still think the Bears are significantly worse in their current form.
Yeah, I mean, if I bet this game, and I don't know why I would take the 3.5 for the Bears.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't the Broncos are just not a serious team and they're on the road. Not that the Bears are exactly the epitome of what's going on, but
I think the Bears are the least serious team in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's like one of the most competitive markets in the world because all of these teams are just absolute clowns. But
yeah.
Like, I mean, Chicago, one of their few things they've played relatively, I don't know, some decent teams, 2 games on the road. Like Denver's getting destroyed by just teams that I think are terrible, and they're at home and they gave up. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Fields and Wilson. The thing with Wilson, they got to get Mims more involved.
He's breaking off big plays all the time. I think at his price this week, he's viable. He's sub 4K.
Get him in there.
Yeah.
More.
Wilson, I think he's in play. I'd probably rather just pay the 58 for Wilson over $6,600 Fields, given that both of these teams are broken. If Garoppolo plays, I might have some interest in him, and I'll tell you the one reason why. Okay. I tweeted this out earlier. In the 2 games that Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams have played together, Listen to the target shares. This is nuts. So the target shares in the 2 games that they played, week 1 and 3, 4% Amir Abdullah, 11% Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, DeAndre Carter, 3% target share, Hooper, Michael Mayer, Zamir White all have 1% target share. Devontae Adams, 41%. Jacoby Myers, 31%. They have made up almost 3/4 of his 70 targets in the 2 games they've played with each other. I get it. Jimmy Garoppolo is the furthest thing from exciting, but I know this much. If I were to stack him with like a Keenan Allen or Eckler run back or something, you know what I mean? I know exactly who I'm stacking Jimmy Garoppolo with every time. And I'd be very curious to see if there's just zero ownership there.
I would expect there would be for a bunch of different reasons. So I get it. I mean, I do. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, Renfro is an afterthought. He used to be a big part of that offense. Just not involved. They've got 2 guys. Jimmy G doesn't excite you, but it is limited options. Is there anyone else? I've got one triple
Can I take
level
a guess?
mega mind genius play.
Can I take a guess here?
Sure.
I'm going to try and get into your head. All right. So it's not Dalton if Bryce is out, right?
No.
Okay. It's Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
Dude, I know you way too well.
Yeah, come on now.
I was a snap answer. I knew exactly where you were going with that.
Yeah. No
and
one.
I don't think it's crazy, by the way.
Yeah. 5,100. No one in their right mind wants to go there. You're in Houston. That's nice. You've got clear run backs. You've got Pickens, who's wildly explosive. Skinny stack, way different. Pepper him with one-offs. That's the type of stuff that can work.
And everyone's cheap.
Yeah, it's just, it allows you to really bolster the rest. And I don't think it's crazy that Houston plays competitive. That total is not, when I thought of that game, I was like, oh, like that total's in line with a million other games that people are very comfortable with.
Houston's not playing terrible football.
No.
You know?
What's the spread on that game?
3 points.
Yeah, the spread's 3 points.
Yeah, if I took that, that's probably, I'd probably stay away from that. Steelers, I was going to say I would, if I could get the Texans at 3.5 somewhere, I'd probably bet them, but I'm not sure I'm there yet. Like it's still, I'm not there yet.
I can't get the Steelers right. I bet them against the Niners.
Yeah, it's a tough team for everybody. I don't want to go Stroud here against Pittsburgh though. I think honestly, my favorite spot from this game would probably be Najee Harris.
Well, these idiots say that Warren's going to take over. That's not true.
No. As far as pass catching duties go, he's definitely a better pass catcher and he's getting more work there. And they're, semi-splitting snaps. But in the case of rushing opportunities, it's still clearly Najee Harris. So against this Houston run defense, as gross as it feels, what are we getting him at? Like 54, 5,500 or something this week?
Yeah, 55.
I still think that's viable. Travis Etienne didn't score, but that's because Tank Bigsby is still the goal line back, apparently, in Jacksonville. And he wasn't massively efficient, but I would look towards some $5,500 Najee in a game. Like you said, the total's not 35. It's what, 41 or 42?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else here? And would you play Dalton if Bryce is out? Dalton threw the ball 58 times last game.
Well, that's a lot, but no.
58.
Yeah. I mean, no, yeah, just no.
I might. Against Minnesota, I might do it.
I get it. There's just nothing for me to take away from that game, except that if you throw the ball 58 times, you're getting there. But that's true of every quarterback.
Well, I said a million times, the whole Miles Sanders thing. Like if he's not running behind the most elite offensive line and a good offense that gets to he's not going to get you there. It's just the case. Look at DeAndre Swift. I will say though, when we talked about Adam Thielen last week, that whole Dalton likes to lock on the guys and Thielen's a veteran guy that he can trust. The resurgence, Thielen's body exhumed from the grave bed.
Like a mummy.
And necromanced back to life. 14 targets, 11 receptions, 145 yards and a touchdown, facing his former Minnesota Vikings. I'll have some Thielen this week for sure. I think he's
I like
perfectly
Thielen.
well.
I just don't know if I need the quarterback.
I got you. Anyway, you want to talk running backs here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And by the way, with receivers, we already talked about a lot of these guys. I like to kind of mingle that into, intertwine that with quarterbacks, because why would we not? Also, guys, God, I got a lot of DMs yesterday about this, which, by the way, happy to answer all of them. I always mention to you guys that my DMs are open whenever I talk about like promos or any questions or comments that you guys have. I always say my DMs are open. I had no idea that with the new Twitter or the new X that there was a setting where you could turn it on or off to where if people aren't verified, they can't contact you. Like they can't DM you. So it's dumb. I turned it off. So you don't have to be verified or paying to DM me now. I had no idea because it's stupid. Anybody can get verified. What's the difference? So if you ever have any questions, hit me up. But owner's box, we had some overlay yesterday on Showdown. We had big overlay again for week 3. They've been having huge prize pools with significant overlay every single week. And you are getting a free week of all of our tools. This isn't like you get all of our tools and then you have to buy this add-on or this add-on like it used to be. We changed the model up entirely. So now the contest generator, the lineup simulator, which you don't need to go anywhere else to build lineups, ownership projections, player projections, the top stack tool, boom bust. What else? Premium Discord, Ben. All of our single game and showdown tools, which are essentially simulations themselves. The lineup generator, everything on the site, every piece of data, every tool, everything we have 100% free for the first week. You sign up using the link in the description or in chat for Owner's Box. First off, they have up to a $500 first match deposit bonus. Take advantage of that. The minimum deposit's only $10 to get this free week, and we'll email you shortly when you do. But if you have the means, take advantage of it. And the overlay, the massive overlay over there that we've been seeing, just really, really significant overlay, that dead money in those contests. And as you pointed out, the super flex contest where you can super flex, where you can flex in a quarterback in that spot, means that you can take approaches in an unsolved format that other people might not have thought about.
Love that format. Just love the opportunity. Again, it's something that we don't get nearly as often as we used to. And that's overlay unsolved formats. And not a lot of people have tools available for that. So it's a great way to take advantage. Running backs.
By the way, if you do it today, you've got the Thursday night slate. You have Sunday main slate, afternoon slate. The Sims tool has everything. Showdown slate. You have Monday Night Football, and you have the Showdown game in London as well. So awesome time to take advantage of that free week. Link in the description and chat. Play on Owner's Box. Take advantage of the overlay, the match deposit bonus up to $500, super flex contest, and get all of our tools for NFL for free for the entirety of the week. All right. The top of running backs. Yeah. McCaffrey and Eckler. That's it for me at the top.
Yeah. I mean, $9,200 is massive. It's not overpriced, but it's just a lot. It changes the dynamic of your lineup. Having said that, more value opens up. Injuries, things like that. If you pay down a quarterback, the raw points that McCaffrey gets you, he truly is the safest play every week. The guy just performs. He finds the end zone every week. His anytime touchdown prop is going to be like minus 300 style. And that might be a bargain, honestly.
It's a big deal. And someone mentioned that Bryce is expected back. Yeah, he is. I'm just saying if he didn't come back, Dalton would be the one in there. I'd rather Dalton throwing than Bryce Young right now, this early in the year. Here's my one issue. What if in this game where they're 14-point favorites, let's just assume here, right? Theoretically, that Arizona is not going to come out and do what they did against Dallas. Shocking, right?
Yeah, right.
Elijah Mitchell might get a decent amount of work in this game, and it wouldn't shock me at all. Christian McCaffrey is the best in the league, unquestionably. The guy is amazing. But like you said, you're paying a lot. 9,200 is a lot for anybody, no matter how good they are on a 12-game slate with so many good options. My only concern there is that McCaffrey has a super efficient game and a good one at that. but there's other spots where the volume might actually be higher because it's a more competitive game. Is that overthinking it?
No, I mean, again, there's always two ways to go about large spreads like this. One, if the Niners win by 40 points, it's pretty good to think that McCaffrey might have had 2 or 3 touchdowns before he hit the bench.
Right.
On the other side,
Same thing with like NBA where people are afraid of blowouts, but then the guy's crushing 3 quarters.
And that can happen, but you also, when there's massive opportunity cost, it's hard to say, I need everything to go my way, because every non-McCaffrey touchdown early is so detrimental because it gets him further away from the field and you already missed some of the scores. So obviously, if you have money for McCaffrey, he's a great play, but I'm going to look more towards the next tier.
Who in the next tier, though, stands out to you? Because as I look at running backs, I think it's unfair to say it's the weakest position, but as far as guys go that I feel great about, I like more at wide receiver and even at quarterback with some of those cheap options. You have McCaffrey and Eckler up top. Pollard against New England, fine. If you want to get a low, I think he's going to be relatively low owned in a tough spot. That defense looks good. Jacobs has been terrible. That if there's a bounce back spot you're looking for, maybe it's here, but man, Josh Jacobs has really struggled through the first 3 weeks of the season. Derrick Henry has been a shell of himself, just going down the list. Raheem Mostert's been phenomenal, but you also have Devon Achane that's in there. Mixon against Tennessee, I'm good on that. Cook is clearly not the goal line back. He is 3rd in the league in rushing yards, but he is clearly not the goal line back. It is Murray or Harris, and that sucks because he's been very good and efficient and is averaging over 6 yards per attempt. Stevenson's been bad. That offense isn't good. I might go to Zach Moss and hope he has another 25 carries.
Yeah, I mean, that's with Richardson coming back, I'm a little worried about that whole situation. So Pollard, going back to the top, I still think this guy is going to be extremely busy in all matchups. And I really like Tony Pollard in life. Fair price, good workload, checks a ton of boxes. You make a case or a reasonable concern about everyone going all the way down now for quite a while.
Yeah, like Kyron Williams is not cheap anymore. He's 6K.
No. And Stafford, I'm a little confused at why Stafford can sling it like 40 yards, no problem. But if it's a screen pass, he's literally 30 yards over Kyron Williams' head.
Unreal. I had some overs on Williams yesterday, and I went back and looked. Guy had 7 targets and should have. And then there was another one that got called back on a penalty that was like a 20-yard pickup. He had 7 targets. Most of those weren't catchable.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a running back, 7 targets, the reception equity is like 6.2. Like you just catch all of them because they're 1-yard passes.
This was 2 of 7.
Yeah, 2 of 7.
This is like Zach Wilson to Garrett Wilson reception equity because he can't get it anywhere close to any of his receivers. Yeah, you're right.
So
I'm going to the Ben. I want to go to the 5K range. I want to go to Javonte Williams. I think this could be the spot. He's 5,500. I know it's gross, but I think I want to go to Najee Harris. That team would like to not have Kenny Pickett throwing the ball a ton if they didn't have to. They would enjoy that. If Eckler is out, I might even consider going back to Kelly, but he has been so bad.
Really, yeah, he had 11 carries for 12 yards.
I think I'd play some Zach Moss too. Oh, and I'll go back to DeAndre Swift as well. The only reason Swift had only 16 carries yesterday, I'm sure this wasn't lost on you either. They had a 2-touchdown lead. They were clearly trying to save DeAndre Swift on that final drive. I have no doubts about that. That's why Gainwell was in there. Gainwell got worked in a little bit throughout the game, but then a lot in that fourth quarter on that ridiculous 9-minute drive. Tampa never got the ball back. That was by design, man.
Oh, definitely by design. Again, those type of teams, they're always cognizant because they got real things going on.
And Swift isn't exactly a specimen of health when you look back over his injury history. It's pretty checkered.
Of course. So I get it. I just don't know how much lower I can go than Najee. I don't like I don't like Ford. I'm not really sold on Pierce. I think that's kind of a weird game script. We'll see what's up. Baltimore loses a running back every week. It's incredible. I don't know how
Amazing.
that's possible. Melvin Gordon,
Amazing.
if he's the only one left.
Yeah, maybe Melvin Gordon. Jake said, looks like I was a week too early on being a week too early on Roshan. Jake, so that I'm glad you brought that up because last week I was saying I'm not getting there yet, especially against Kansas City. 12.5 point dogs, good Kansas City defense. They got some dogs up front as well. This is the week where I might actually throw a few shots in large field tournaments on Roshan Johnson. I think this could, and for what it's worth, Khalil Herbert, it's not like he's gone yet, but this could actually be the week after going down 0-3, getting embarrassed, and now going up against the Broncos in a game with a 3-point spread at home, where Johnson does have himself a game that you're just talking about price beneath those guys. That could be one spot I look, and he's probably going to be virtually unowned.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't expect ownership. It's always a little dicey with guys like that just because I'm not sure what their biggest path to success is. In terms of like game script, do I want the Bears to win? Do I want the Bears to be trailing? Fields running, but if you're starved for value, you don't have many other options.
I still think that 5K range for me is what looks
good.
I think that looks the best. I don't see anything down here below 5K that stands out to me in a big way. Do you? Do you see anything that?
Nope. There's just nothing there.
I wanted to say Kendra Miller, but
isn't Kamara back?
Yeah, but Kamara's back. So what does it matter at this point?
Yeah, you can't go there.
Can't go there. Yep. I don't think there's anything. And I don't want to play Kamara against Tampa Bay anyway.
No.
Tampa got gashed last night, but that Eagles front, that offensive line is absurd.
That's a unique, truly like one of one.
Yeah. Right. So I think we're good. If you were to list your favorite 3 running backs right now at any price tier, right? And obviously a little nuance in what you think makes the most sense, who would it be?
It would be Swift 1, Pollard 2, and I think Javonte Williams 3.
Yeah. Javonte and Swift at those prices are definitely up there for me.
Rashad White, we didn't talk about. I think he'll be just fine continuing. I know he fumbled last night. He just gets a lot of work. I respect the Saints, though. And
Jalen Carter's also just an animal.
Guy's a monster.
Yeah. Like came in there and anyone is fumbling there.
Yes. I told you the guys. I mean, it's not just me who knew.
No, you said it. Not that you were the only one to say it, but yeah.
Game changer.
Yeah. Game wrecker. If Eckler plays and is unencumbered by this injury, I want so much Austin Eckler. That's what I was saying. If we come in and we see practices like Wednesday and then Thursday's a full practice and he's good, I want as much Eckler as I can get, Ben. I really do. Wide receivers. Let's talk wide receivers, man. This is one of those slates where I'm just going to kind of toss this off to you at the top. I'm genuinely curious to get your thoughts at the top of these plays. Or at the top of this position, because it feels like it goes on literally forever. You've got Justin Jefferson, 9,600. Tyreek Hill, 9,200. Both of these guys in matchups that are exploitable for sure. Stephon Diggs against Miami, 8,100. Devontae Adams, I mentioned that target share, absurd this year, leads the league against the Chargers, 8K. Keenan Allen, in another good matchup, 79. Jamar Chase at 78. AJ Brown at 77. Jalen Waddle, if he returns, going up in the highest total matchup of the game, 7,600. Those are just the guys at 7,600 and above. That's crazy.
It's nuts. it feels inconceivable that you're going to win without one of these guys minimum. Like, what are the chances that one of them doesn't have enough raw points where you just need them?
I don't see how it happens.
It's gonna happen. Now, who that is, I have no idea. Keenan Allen had 20 targets last week, and Mike Williams is gone. Eckler coming back, maybe they do shift to a more running centric role, but Keenan Allen's going to be extremely busy. If I had to pick one guy, though, it would be Diggs
over everyone else.
Yeah. Yep.
Trying to think who it would be for me.
And I'll go further, and this could get me into trouble because I respect him and he's dangerous. If I had to leave one guy off, it'd be Tyreek.
Really?
Yeah.
I think for me, it'd be Jefferson.
He would be probably second. He's just so
because
expensive.
Of that price.
Yeah.
How does Justin Jefferson not find the end zone?
Well, it's hard when you have a team actively trying to screw it up.
He has scored once. I get that. But you're talking about a guy that has 38 targets on the season, right? 38 targets, 27 receptions, and how many yards? How many? 458. This is going to be like the Calvin Johnson year where he had 1,900 yards and what was it, 4 touchdowns or something? You remember that?
Yeah. What do they have in common? Playing for incompetent franchises.
Yeah, I love doing this show with you because I like when you get in that type of cynical mode, which I totally warranted, by the way. What?
I bet that game and I watched it, and there's nothing more frustrating than when you don't even know, because I'm like, okay, I watched the game objectively. The Vikings should have won. But should they? Because when you continuously do stupid shit,
exactly.
Maybe it's not luck. Like if you fumble every game 2 times in week 16, if you fumble twice, it's hard to be like, man, I didn't see that coming. That's super unlucky. Like, or you don't know what you're doing.
It's like last year where you could say the Broncos should have won every game.
Yes.
At
some point.
Yeah. But they shouldn't have. Their defense was amazing and they could have, but they made mistakes. This sounds so nuts because of how many great receivers are here. I don't know how I get away from Keenan Allen this week.
Just on volume.
I don't know how I get away from Keenan Allen. Before Mike Williams went down, he had a 33% target share. You know, he has 39 targets on the season. He's caught 32 of them, Ben.
Like if you had to set the over under for targets this week, 13.5.
Right. And if Eckler's not back, if Eckler's not, yeah, 26.
Like,
I don't know, man. Like if Eckler comes back, I think I'd be perfectly fine with lineups that don't have Herbert but have Eckler and Keenan Allen.
I can see that. I mean, you're monopolizing
it's expensive, but
basically all the production.
Right. I don't know. I just like that game because on the other side, like I mentioned with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, assuming Jimmy Garoppolo plays, I don't know. I think he's in concussion protocol. That's a big deal. But how do you not want some Devontae Adams too? Like this guy, his target share is 40% on the season.
Never seen so many situations. I've looked at like 4 or 5 guys and they all have games where they had 20 targets already.
I know.
20 in a game.
Who's had a 20 target game? Adams, right?
Yeah. Keenan Allen had one.
Did Hill hasn't, but he's had a 200-yard game.
Yeah. Jefferson. No, he's been flat. The guy on the Rams who did nothing last night. He had like 30 targets in a game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of targets.
It's a ton. Like the target share for these guys is 40% to Adams on the season. Hill is at 35%. Keenan Allen's at 33%. And now Mike Williams is out. It's Stephon Diggs is at 30%. Even AJ Brown after last week, he's at 29.5%. This is just insane. Justin Jefferson's at 29%. This is insanely elite usage for all of these guys. I just don't see anyone where I go, hey, I don't really love him this week.
No,
So
you have to live with
Waddle
that.
would be towards the bottom of the bunch just from a target share and a volume perspective. But everybody else, just go down the list, and then we can talk mid range and lower tier. Jefferson, bona fide, not only just number one, but like 200-yard potential, 15 target potential, double digits locked in every game. Same with Tyreek Hill. Stephon Diggs in this game, how does he not? Devontae Adams is, I mean, especially with the way Jacobs has performed, if Garoppolo plays, there's no argument against Devontae Adams could lead the league in targets at the end of the year, and nobody would bat an eye over that. Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams. Keenan Allen is just legitimately one of the best fantasy receivers in football right now, and you could make a very strong argument that at 7,900, he is dramatically underpriced. And then Jamar Chase finally getting the volume that he deserved. AJ Brown, same thing on the same night. Simultaneously, those guys were wrecking their opponents. So I don't really know what else to say other than good luck trying to figure this out. We gave you our favorites early in the week, but can you really go wrong?
No. And I think that's where you need to mix and match and look at the opportunity cost. My goal will be to get exposure to as many of these guys in as many situations as possible. I'd love to get 2 or even 3 in lineups. That's just not going to be possible, most likely.
What are you doing in the mid range?
So, yeah, I mean, this is where we talked about some of these guys' attachments to their quarterbacks. I will say Pittman, he's a one-off that I've got circled. Double-digit targets in 3 straight games. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. He's going to be busy. Gabe Davis is a wild card. I never know what to do with him. If you play Fields, you got to play DJ Moore, right?
No?
Really?
Maybe?
It just feels like he has to get there. Even if Fields destroys on the ground, like that's what you're hoping for. If Fields has like 170 yards passing, DJ Moore seems like he's got to have like you got to get him the ball.
I mean, if I'm going anywhere, it would be DJ Moore. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure.
That's what sucks about playing Justin Fields, because everything, even if you pair someone with him, feels disgusting.
Well, yeah, it's all bad.
Like
I would
Moore,
know. I've been doing this for weeks.
Are you paying 6,700 for Puka Nacua?
No. That's one of the reasons I had chances last night.
He looks good though.
He's
really
great. That's a lot.
It is
Salary.
It is. What about a guy like T. Higgins in a pass funnel spot against Tennessee?
Tough to stomach, but probably a good pivot within Chase, because last night Chase on an isolated game for anyone that played was fantastic. And if you played T. Higgins last night, you came away wildly frustrated, and that's going to carry over. And you know how these guys go. It's going to be T. Higgins week a couple times. There's no doubt about it.
He scored a touchdown. They called it back on offensive pass interference. There was another one.
He just had a bad game.
He had a bad game, man. He had a bad game. You know who interests me this week? First of all, Deshaun Watson finally came to life. Insanely efficient performance. I was on the wrong side of that. I thought things were bad. This is actually the first good performance he's had with the Browns. Not this year, but dating back to last year, right? Amari Cooper, 6,100. And that Baltimore team can't catch a single break when it comes to injuries. You know, every week it feels like somebody else is out or injured or on the IR for them. Pay really close attention to the secondary for Baltimore this week, Ben, because if you have a guy like Marcus Williams, Marlon Humphrey, both of whom are questionable, we'll see what their participation looks like throughout the week. If those guys are also out, then actually Marcus Williams is out for a while, right? Isn't he?
Everyone on that team.
Marcus Williams has the pec injury, doesn't he?
I honestly don't know.
But either way, Baltimore could be in some trouble. And if Deshaun Watson looks good, Amari Cooper's the clear guy on that team.
Yeah, and it does seem that, you know, even if they still have the same philosophy, there is no way to replicate Nick Chubb. You're not going to be able to run at the same clip. It's going to fall on Watson and the pass catchers. I'm fine with him. I'm fine with George Pickens. Obviously Myers, Sutton. There's a lot of guys in the mid fives that are good.
Uh,
And
oh wow, it is that pec injury, but he was supposed to be out for like a while, and it looks like he could actually be back for week 4.
yeah, there's no rhyme or reason.
That's crazy. People were saying, oh, it could be a season-ending injury and everything, and now he's day to day.
There, like I said, if you like shatter your femur,
Yeah,
it's like, well, he's questionable. If you have like, if you hurt your toe, it's like a 3-year injury if it's a
yep.
toe. Toes
Season's
are,
over.
it's forget it, career ender.
Yep. I think Elijah Moore would be in play at 4,700 too. But let's not forget, Amari Cooper never stepped out of bounds on that play. He would have had another really long touchdown. Amari Cooper would have had a monster game. Monster game. You know what play I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I was watching the game.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot here. There's a lot at every tier. Michael Pittman, I think, is viable. Gabe Davis at 5,900 is viable. The only problem is that so many of these guys, even in the mid-range, are commanding such a huge target share, and so many teams have such a concentrated target share that it comes down to the same conversation with Gabe Davis. Like, do we want to hope that, 3 of his 6 targets end up being huge ones?
That's just, again, there's going to be weeks where the answer to that is yes. They're going to be few and far between, but I don't mind just kind of always putting that in the portfolio, knowing on the season it'll pay off a couple times.
Where are you going at this low tier? By the way, shout out to you guys. Thanks for getting us north of 100 likes here. Appreciate it. I'm trying to move as quick as we can getting through these, but God, there's so much. I mean,
I know.
Sutton, I'll play Cortland Sutton this week happily. I'll play Jacoby Myers if Jimmy Garoppolo's in. I'll play Elijah Moore. I'll play Adam Thielen. Play Marvin Mims. I have no idea what I want to do with like Quentin Johnston and Josh Downs and Calvin Austin and those real cheap guys, but there's going to be some options here in this, 55 and under range.
Yeah, some of it'll be injury. We'll see what's up. If we get word about, obviously we know Mike Williams isn't playing, but maybe they tip their hand and they say that Palmer is going to take all those. I might go to him. You've got the Houston guys. They're going to be perpetually in play. Oh man. I'll say I've been quietly going to Hollywood Brown the last 2 weeks, and it's been good. I think it's time to cash in those chips. I'm not going to do that against San Fran. Yeah, it's about all I got. Not going to go to McLaurin and Pickens. I think Pickens is a good tournament play.
Who's your favorite then? I'll tell you who my favorite are. Sutton. Right now, it's early. Things could change. What?
It's always Sutton. That's the answer no matter what.
I know.
We're the biggest Sutton fans out there.
You and me?
Yeah.
I know. Sutton will have to literally die before I go. No, this guy doesn't have it.
Besides, obviously, like that top tier of like Jefferson and Tyreek and Rager and those types, Sutton, elite. Let's see, I snuck that by you. Sutton just has elite red zone targets. I love the way they utilize him. I think he'll be busy.
What did you throw Rager in there?
No.
Is that what you did?
No comment.
I was trying to look something up on the fly while you were talking. I was gonna say, and I'm pulling this up now. Where do you think I'm looking at? Where do you think Cortland Sutton ranks in PPR points at wide receiver? I'm gonna say he's probably top 20, even though they've been bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple touchdowns, which usually is the problem for a shitty team. The targets are fine. He's a good player. He could be in the next tier, and I would like if he was priced with Nakua and those guys and Pittman, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
He's 16th in PPR points at his position. So not bad. And clearly the best matchup they've had all season.
Correct.
Yeah. If I'm like full out dumpster diving, I probably would take some shots on Quentin Johnston. I'll take shots on Mims for sure. What happened to where's Jerry Jeudy been?
He was running around. I saw him a bunch of times
He had a
uh
decent game last
when
time, but
Mostert and A-Chain were running. He was on the sidelines watching them go by. So you got to see him 10 times just for that. But I didn't see him much outside of that.
5 for 81, 7 targets. It's not like he hasn't been involved. But are you paying 6,600 for him over a $5,300 Cortland Sutton? What is up with that pricing every week?
Yeah, I mean, he's not, that's just backwards. That should be flipped.
Yeah, at this point, it should. What are you doing last one? What are you doing with Michael Thomas, 5,200?
Yeah, he's an interesting name.
Derek Carr is going to be out too.
I just worry exactly with what they do because yes, you could turn it over to Jameis, or you could just turn your team into just like a bizarro freak show with Taysom Hill and Kamara and go like very ground centric. You still have Olave. It's pretty thin, I think, with a big opportunity cost. It's true though. Like there's always that option. They just
A
say like,
bizarro
well,
freak show.
I hate when the Saints do that.
You're right, though. That's exactly what they do all the time.
All the time.
Like Jawan Johnson, 2 touchdown game. Taysom Hill runs one in. Yeah,
Yep. Like
you're right.
guys from the crowd, like
God, that got me
Quan
good.
Smith. I don't even know if he's still there. Like gadget plays, just not a. It's just gimmick offense for no reason. They're not bad enough where they need to do that. That's what I always am confused. Like if you're the Cardinals, try something. Saints, play it straight up. Bring in Jameis. Jameis can play. Why you don't need to do that? But they might.
Bizarro freak show.
It is.
The target share there, though, this year, and you're right, it could be a bizarro freak show without Carr, and that's a problem. You want to talk about a massively concentrated target share, though. I know Kamara is coming back, but 31.5% targets to Olave, 26% to Michael Thomas. There's going to be a really, really big game for one of those guys. Even if Winston's in there, it's going to happen eventually, like soon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Michael Thomas, for the injuries, was in a, like, 8K wide receiver. And I still think he's got that. I just don't know the role.
We'll pray against the bizarro freak show. I might have a little Michael Thomas. Okay. All right. Tight end position. Let's do it. We got almost 400 people watching with us on a Tuesday NFL show. Gotta love it. By the way, guys, all of our tools for NFL, we've just gone like next level with NFL tools this season with the NFL DFS Sims Max package. You have that monthly, or you have that weekly. It's awesome. You have the data package too, which is cheaper, but the only thing it does different is you can't generate as many lineups in the contest generator before you sim them. But for people that are playing like 3-max or single entry and stuff, it's super valuable for you as well. All of those packages in the description and in chat, you're talking about some crazy tools that we have, like the lineup simulator for every slate out there. And you can cater it to what the payouts are up top. Like if it's a 10% payout, right? 100K contest, 10K to first, you can then sim these lineups to get the simulated ROI and the best lineups by going, okay, 10%. If it's the Millie Maker, which is crazy top heavy, you can change it to 30%. And then I've been messing with this. You can do ROI boosts afterwards. If there's certain guys you really want to get to, or guys that you want less of, you can deboost them or boost them. You can boost stacks completely. You can deboost stacks. God, there's so much you can do. You can set exposure types and everything. It really is an amazing. I'm proud to have this tool here because Ben, I'm not smart enough to make these tools myself.
Oh yeah, you could put me in that bucket as well. And I'll just second what you mentioned. Of course, these tools are great for MME and building that portfolio. I use them every single week and I do not MME. I'm building, 20, 40 sometimes. Sometimes I'm just focused on like 10 really good. Like you can use them for all different types of contests and it can be wildly effective.
100%. And also the lineup generator too. By the way, the Sims Max package and the Sims data package have everything else as well. All of the other tools, ownership, player projections, top stack, boom bust, all of the stuff we've always had, the preeminent tools around this industry, all of that is included as well. But now you've got all of the other tools to where there's zero add-ons anymore. It's awesome. CS Samurai, Laporta season. Damn right, baby. We got it. But also the lineup generator. The lineup generator massive discount off of everything like that. If you're playing with limited time or a smaller bankroll, I promise you, you will love the lineup generator. That link's down there and it's in chat. That is where you can just, all of the sims are happening. We're simming thousands of lineups, throwing out the bad ones. You can see your projected score, optimal projection on all of the lineups. You can see that how chalky or contrarian it is. But not only that, you can set your stack types, guys. You can check how you can, before you run the lineups, you can see how chalky or contrarian, or just run every lineup, like all types of lineups. Save the ones that you love, discard the ones that you don't. And then once you save them, you can swap players too. But once you save them, you can see all of your stack exposures, individual player exposures. It's $14.95 a week. There's no better price for a tool this powerful in the industry. If you can find one, tell me. And then you can upload it to CSV. It's also optimized for mobile though. So you're firing one off pre-slate, couldn't hold it. You're like, I got to get these lineups in, or you got a demanding life, or you're just playing with a smaller bankroll and you're looking to max out like the 5 cent or the nickel, or the quarter or something. Awesome, awesome tool. Well worth your money. I promise you'll love it. But the other thing about that too, one suggestion I would make, like you can do showdown lineups and you can adjust what you think the score is going to be. What I would do is I would adjust it to a certain one and then save some lineups and then go back and run it again with a different type. You can do that for NFL too, like maybe run this type of stack and then this type of stack, and then save the ones that you like most before uploading them to CSV. So Sims Max package, the Sims data package, and the NFL lineup generator in chat and in the description if you guys want to check them out. And again, my DMs are always open on Twitter if you have any questions. All right, tight ends. God, this is such a disgustingly ugly position every week, dude. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to let you take it. It is a hideous position every week.
Yeah, it's bad. Probably going to just try to save some money and hopefully not get burnt by Hawkinson and Andrews and those types, because I just don't anticipate having a lot of money to go around with the elite wide receiver depth. So might have to be attachments to your stack. Everett maybe gets a boost, take some of Mike Williams, Njoku, Komet, maybe Ertz on the bounce back. I don't know.
I might just throw some shit against the wall and hope that one of Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox ends up having a big game in a high total spot.
You can do that. I mean, again, that's a volume centric.
Am I wrong though? This is a bad position. There's not a lot here at all.
No, there's definitely not a lot here. Kate Otten last night really failed. Seemed like a good opportunity. There's just not that much here. I think that Everett stands out. Goddard's always solid, but doesn't.
But isn't.
He just doesn't jump off the page. They priced Taysom Hill up because they know about freak show potential.
You're absolutely. You know what? You're absolutely right.
Yeah, they know.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. What do you think Taysom Hill is in play here?
I think it's a lot harder. If he was at 3K, I'd say yes, but it's a lot harder there unless we get word that they are going to change the offense. Then I think he'd be playable, but we just don't know.
What did the snap count look like last game for Taysom Hill? He was on 30% of snaps. So that was less than week 2.
That's what I mean. Like they need to, you need something.
Yeah. Bizarro freak show, man. Mm-hmm. It's possible. I'm not sure that I have anybody. Cole Kmet, you like Cole Kmet?
If you have Fields, but not really.
Yeah.
Higbee.
Or if you're a masochist.
Yeah. Higbee's not bad.
Hawkinson, Andrews, and Kittle are the ones up north of 5K. As good as Hawkinson is, and it's not exactly like he's in the worst matchup. Minnesota, whatever. Or Carolina, I mean. How difficult is it going to be to pay $6,500 for Hawkinson on this slate? That's my concern. We've already talked about so many great high-priced options.
That's the tricky part. Great players, opportunity cost.
Wild question, because I don't know if there's any answer to this. Favorite tight end, just one right now. Any price.
Everett.
You think that absence of Williams, let's just hope Parham doesn't have 2 more touchdowns.
You got to live with that. But yeah, if you're going to give me 5-6 targets for a offense like that, I'll live with that.
Okay. You want to close this out with a defense under 3K, as we always do? Favorite D under 3K?
Sure.
I'm going to take a guess at yours. Let me know when you have one. And don't go against it just because you think I'm
no,
no.
I'm not. I'm just trying to gather together. It's been a long morning. I've done.
It's okay.
I did a lot of shows. Okay, I got one. Yeah, I got my team definitely. Not going to be who you're going to pick, I promise you, and that's going to screw you up. Don't change because I said that.
You think that I think you're going to take the Bears?
Yes, but I'm not. That's right.
Yeah, Texans.
No.
Damn, Colts.
Yeah, Colts. Stafford has multiple plays where he just like short circuits and just stands there and gets super demolished. Like fumble equity, obviously pass equity, interception equity on the road, 2,900. I think the Panthers are the Megamind genius defense, but I don't know if I can do it.
I'll answer this question from Nathan before we go, from Nathan Moser. Any interest in the Dallas tight end? So, okay, we're talking, I guess, Ferguson. Yeah, honestly, you could do worse.
Definitely could do worse.
I mean, it's a terrible position. It's just a terrible position. He's 3,500. I think ownership's going to play a huge role in this, but he's averaging around 70% of snaps per game. You could do worse.
If you're in a state that lets you make some wagers, I'd rather bet him in the betting market to score. You'll get good plus money on that. And I think really in DFS, he's not going to get you there unless he scores.
Yeah. Yeah. That has been an issue. There's nothing. Every target is basically at the line of scrimmage, it feels like.
That's what I mean. So like, I'd rather bet anytime TD. Again, if you're not on Team Odd Shopper, if you don't know about Odd Shopper, find us on YouTube, Google us. That's where you're going to get those betting takes. But I'd rather bet him than play him.
I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. As always, this is a very fun show to do. It takes a bit to break everything down, recap, and knock out every position. But thanks for hanging. It's been a lot of fun. Follow Ben at Jazzraz DFS. Someone told us that they love the show, but we haven't been talking enough nonsense to start the season. Well, it has to be. It will happen, but it has to be organic, right? And how the hell do we squeeze that in after what we saw in week 3? We'd have no time.
No. And today was too crazy because I moved up. You can check out Betting You. Betting You was out. The demand was so much we moved it up a day.
Awesome.
So, I don't have the energy to talk about lava being incorporated into Jeopardy. The Bizarro freak show.
That was enough for me. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Oh, it's Halloween. I go into the store yesterday. Halloween just everywhere. I hate Halloween.
I'm not doing this. We'll pick this up.
Just leave it at that.
Follow me. I want to. I desperately want to do this, but we got to go record this podcast exclusive. So in a little bit, come check it out on the podcast channel. Only found there. 2 podcast exclusive episodes every week. They're fun. We keep them under 30 minutes. I promise you guys are going to love them. And if you ever have any suggestions for how to make them better or different topics, hit us up on Twitter, Ben at Jazzraz DFS, me at Laffy_DR, handles right underneath our names. We'll see you guys back here for the next one. Peace. Why do you hate Halloween?